Welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, and capital raisers in the world to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. If what you're after is having it all, if what you desire is becoming the best version you can be across all areas, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sentimentally, and financially, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best of the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, knowledge, experience, and skills so that you can go out and crush it financially and across all areas of your life. Grab pencil and paper, sit back, enjoy, and you are welcome to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast, where we interview some of the best real estate investors out there to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, the skill sets, and everything you need to conquer yourself, your life, your marriage, and use real estate as your wealth creation vehicle so that you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and contribution. I'm excited today. I have an incredible modern king with me today. His name is Scott Kidd and has over 25 years of experience in maritime experience, right? So which I believe it's in the ocean and stuff like that,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Including new builds, refits, project management, and yacht management. So he's licensed USCG Master of 1000. Oh, I don't know if that's like, I'm not
Master
familiar
of
with any.
3000.
Yeah,
That's okay.
man.
U.S. Coast Guard Master, 1,600, 3,000 tons.
Nice. Awesome. So background experience in IT and strong mechanical background in maritime, transportation, machinery, and heavy equipment. Scott has been in real estate for the past few years and is currently investing in multifamily apartments. He has invested as a limited partner in apartments in Columbus, Ohio area, along with multifamily apartments in the Daytona area and apartments in West Palm Beach. So the limited partnerships is a syndication, and with where you have general partners and limited partners, and he also has done joint ventures. So excited to talk about your journey, man. My team and I were really curious to get to know you because you're one of the few real estate investors who has chosen a niche, right? Which is really incredible. I wanted to, pick your brain a little bit to be able to give some insights to all the people who listen to this to make their real estate investing journeys a lot smoother, right? And help them accelerate their success. So thank you for being here, Scott. I really appreciate you, man, and you're welcome to the show.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I always love talking to people and networking and making new connections and seeing where it takes us.
Hello, Modern Kings and Queens. At my company, Millionaire Network Automation, we believe in the power of networking. We believe that in real estate, your net worth is your network. This is why we help real estate investors raise capital by connecting them with their ideal investors and helping them build a massive network of their ideal investors in less than 30 days and with only 4 hours of work per week. If you're interested in this, click the link below in the description of this podcast to learn how you can propel your growth with a reliable system that will consistently help you connect with your ideal investors, build trust, add value, get your investors to promote you and put you in front of more of their investor friends, and raise more capital faster and in a much more effortless way so that you can achieve your financial freedom and still have the time and the energy to pour into every single other area of your life. So go watch the training, and you're going to have the opportunity to book a call to talk about how you can get this 100% done for you system implemented in the next 5 days. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later, and enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. Awesome. So, Scott, the first thing that I do with my guests, man, is I ask them to walk us through their real estate investing journey in 75 seconds or less.
75 seconds or less. Okay.
All right, you can get started, and then I'll click.
Okay, I started, like a lot of people, I started, bought a single family house, bought another one, rented it out, discovered multifamily, sold my house, got into some limited partnerships, connected with the right people, and started networking. Started my own meetup group, and got into some GP positions and some joint ventures. I met all of my partners and people just from networking virtually and in person. Um, but that's basically it. I'm GP, LP, and a JV investor. I like doing it all. This it all comes from the people.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it definitely sounds like it all comes from the people, right? Meetups, virtual networking, in-person networking. So yeah, like this is a huge thing, right? Here in the real estate investing space, like it's all about networking. All of the people, deals, all the best deals, the best partners, the best of everything, right? Capital can be done through networking, man. So could you give me a bit of your networking experience? Like, how is it that you through networking came across real estate?
Well, I heard about multifamily. I had a friend of a friend that told me one time that he bought and sold a 46 unit apartment building in Houston, Texas, and he uh, he told me he made quite a large amount of money. And I said, "You can do that?" And he said, "Yeah, you can do that, and so can I. I mean, I can do it. You can do it." He said, and that kind of piqued my curiosity, and then I started learning about it. And then I said, well, because I was looking at buying another house as an investment. And so I said, well, this makes more sense because it has economies of scale, and it's very team oriented. And on the boats and stuff, it's all a team. We all have to work together and live together, which is a different dynamic. So I'm used to doing that, building teams and things like that. So it made a lot of sense. I went to quite a few networking groups in person. It was before COVID, and a year or two before COVID, and it I got kind of disheartened because a little discouraged because every time I went to one, um, they were just trying to sell me something. At the end, there was always they came with, well, sign up here and get this, and learn more about this, and it didn't really. It was kind of a hard sell at the end. But then I said, well, let me just go to one more. And I went to one more, and people were just kind of hanging out, talking about what they were doing, having some drinks, having some coffee. And I ended up meeting a partner of mine that ended up, she and I are great partners. She's a great partner and just a great person. She was running the meetup group, and a year and a half later, we ended up doing a deal together. We ended up doing two deals, and we're still going to do more because we work well together. And she turned me on to some other meetups, and after going to a few of them, I had an idea that because I work on yachts, there's a lot of people that they have a lot of savings. They don't live anywhere. They don't have any bills. And I thought, well, maybe I should put these people together and let them know about real estate, because a lot of them don't know that they can do a lot of these things. Because I didn't know that you could invest in apartments so
Mm,
easily. And so I started my own meetup group about 2 years ago, and I've I've kept networking, and then I ended up collaborating with a couple other groups in Fort Lauderdale, and because we had meetups at the same time, so rather than having smaller meetup groups, we just all kind of combined. And the last meetup we had in Fort Lauderdale, we had about 90 plus people there, so it was pretty nice. And as a good what made me feel happy was that when people came, they said, we really love coming here, because no one's trying to sell you anything. Everyone's trying to connect and do things together, and everyone keeps up with each other. So that made me feel really good because that was something that I was looking for,
mm-hmm.
and that it kind of just evolved on its own. And through all the networking and stuff. And when during the COVID period, I said, well, it's harder to find deals. Let me and learn more and meet people. So I just started doing a lot of virtual networking. I found out and invested in a couple of LPs, and I plan to do a couple of those every year, and a couple of GP positions, and a couple of joint ventures with a smaller portfolio, just so that eventually it's all it's all feeding itself, and we'll just keep going. And eventually, I'm going to open a fund, but that's it all came from just getting out there and meeting people. If I
Yeah.
didn't meet my initial partner, we wouldn't have done those deals. And I we work well together, and I can't say anything. I can't say um I can't say bad things about just meeting. Can't say enough about meeting people, and uh, getting together and doing things. Even if you just talk about real estate and learn, it's still a better step than not doing anything. At
Yeah.
least it puts you in the mindset, puts you around people that are doing it. If you see somebody doing it, you can do it yourself. you know
For sure. So you work in boats, right? Like six
yes.
months on, 6 months off.
6 weeks on, 6 weeks off.
Oh yeah, 6 weeks. Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
private
right
yacht.
now in a boat? Is that where you are right now? Is that like a yacht or
Ye-
something? Yeah.
yes, I'm
Okay.
currently on board, and I'm currently in Alaska. So
Oh.
we're coming around here doing a little things that are a little bit more off the beaten track, a little bit. It's a road less traveled. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, so one of the things that you liked about real estate is that it's a team sport, right? And then
Yes.
having to work in a team on the boats for 6 months, live together, work together, talk
Yeah.
together, and everything, do everything together as a team, um, was like made it like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
To do this business because it's a team sport and you already are a good team player. So, through your experience, through your like working on boats experience and now in real estate, well, first, actually, what do you have a team right now? And what does your team consist of?
Um, right now, I've focused mostly on capital raise and stuff, and I have a few people that I like to work with, like my partner that I rave about. I like to work with her. Right now, I just try to keep it simple, and there's
Okay.
certain teams that I like to work with, because I had to, over the last year and a half, I've kind of came to the conclusion that I was trying to do too many things.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for me to be on a good team, I have to focus on one thing, and that's the capital raise that I can do from anywhere, and asset management and doing things on the back end, the due diligence stuff that I can do from anywhere, because I always have a live connection, and that way I can be of benefit. I'm not going to be over promising and under delivering for these teams. They're counting on me to pull through, and I can't promise that I'm going to be there to walk the property, or you know go through
For
and
sure.
do the walk through due diligence. So I would never do that, because that's I have to, being a man of your word, you have to honor that.
Yeah, the integrity is all you have, right? So,
Mhm.
so then I was gonna ask if do you had any team building advice, right? Any team building wisdom that you wanted to share for the audience, because team building is a very important skill, not just in multifamily real estate investing, commercial real estate investing, but like in life and business as a whole, right? So, are there any team building tips or advice or wisdom that you may have on for that topic?
Yes, find the right person for the right. Um, Make sure that whatever job that or position you need to fill, make sure that is the right person. If they're not, train them into that position.
Mm.
I think
Okay, cool. Get the right
I might
people.
have
Get the
lost.
right people for the right position.
Yes, and
Um,
open communication. You have to make sure that the team knows that you are the one, the go-to person. Like for me on the boat, I am the first one up, last one down,
mm,
and I take that same mentality in anything I do, like people know that they can count on me. So if I lead by example, I'm going to build a team that's of the same mindset that, you need to have people that have different details, but are going to have the same mentality that no matter what, we're going to commit to this and we're going to get it through.
I really like that perspective. So, going back to what you said earlier, which is you realize that you were doing too much. That is a very common,
Yes.
maybe mistake or obstacle or realization that real estate investors come up against. Not just real estate investors, but entrepreneurs as a whole, right?
Mhm.
Like I also had this problem of doing too much, right? Like just trying to accomplish like five goals at the same time, trying to do five projects at the same time, and it doesn't work that way, right? Like for some
No.
reason we think it does, but it doesn't work that way, man, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I just came across a very important mouth punching lesson in the gym as well. So I came across this 80s bodybuilder. His name is, oh, I don't remember what his name is. Ah,
80s bodybuilder.
Jesus, man. I don't remember what his name is. I always forget names, but yeah, I came across this 80s bodybuilder, and he has this. Oh, there you go. I found him. Mike Menser, right? I just
Oh,
went
Mike
into my,
Spencer,
yeah,
Mr. Legs. Mr. Legs.
yeah. So what did you say?
Oh, no, no, that's a different guy. That was Tom Platz. Mike Menser, but I know who Mike Menser is. Yes.
Well, Mike Menserman says that you need to work out once every 5 to 7 days, and that you
Yes.
need to do one set per exercise and
Yes.
maximum two exercises per muscle. So what does that mean? Two sets maximum. Like
Yeah.
holy shit, that breaks your brain, right? Like as someone who goes to the gym 5, 6 times per week, like every day and works out for like 1 hour and a half like crazy, and that's like mind bending, and
Yeah.
you just can't believe that that's how it works. But then I studied him a little bit more because I came across this stuff and I just couldn't believe it, right? But it made sense logistically.
Yeah.
And then I dove into his stuff a little bit more. He Everything he says is backed up by science,
Yeah.
and it makes sense, man, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
less
sure.
is more.
Yeah. Yeah. Less is way more because we don't want to get caught up in the busyness. We want to do business.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
We don't want to get caught in the business, but
Yeah.
get down to do business. All right,
Yeah.
cool, man.
But do the business because everyone knows what we have to do, but
Yeah.
instead we might be something, we have a roadblock or something that we're self-sabotaging ourselves by being busy. Oh, I can't do that right now. And but you really know what you have to do, and all you have to
Mm.
do is just get and do it, and just push through the painful part of just that first step. you know we all fall victim to that because sometimes we have a little negative self-talk. We talk ourselves out of doing something that we know we should have done you know
So what's
well,
your story? Like, what's the story behind this realization of realizing I'm doing too much. So you know what? I'm just going to focus on this, and then I'm gonna stay in this lane, master it, and I don't know until I become the best at this. Right? Like,
well
what made you realize that?
I realize it more and more because when I'm 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, like there was a couple of times when I was getting ready to go back on the boat, and I said to my wife, I said, when I'm home here, I didn't take any time off.
Mm,
I got off and I just went straight into, everything else that I was doing. I still do real estate while I'm on the boats. Obviously, there's a I make my time more efficient. But
mm-hmm.
then when I'm at home, I have more time and more distractions. So then I end up, doing the busyness. Just filling up with a lot of things that are, I won't say aren't necessary, but like when my wife or my kids need something, I usually try to focus on, dropping everything. Okay, they need something, I do that. But I've found that I need to do that with the rest of my life. Like, oh, this needs to get done, get it done. You know what I mean? And you have to just
Focus. And prioritization, right?
Yeah.
Prioritization.
Yeah. Focus is a skill.
It is, man. It is. And
Focus is a skill.
in my journey, I've come to realize more and more and more that less is better, that focus
Yeah.
is needed, and then prioritizing things, right? Like not having
Yeah.
10 things that you want to focus on. So for example, for some reason, I don't know if you experienced this, but me as a young entrepreneur, I made the mistake of wanting to serve everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Can't do it.
Right? So I wanted to help every single person do
Yeah.
everything, and that made me just burn out, right? Like work too much for too little results,
Yeah.
and then not make enough money for the amount of work that I was doing, right? Just
Yeah.
because for some reason, I wanted to serve everybody, but I found out what the reason is, man. And the reason
It's
is scarcity. The reason is
yeah.
scarcity.
Scarcity
Right.
mindset.
Yeah, so like why would an entrepreneur start a business where they help all types of business do all types of things, right? Because for some reason they in their mind unconsciously they believe that there's not enough people, right?
Yeah.
Right? And it's really hard to get them to niche down. I was talking to a lawyer last Friday. And then we were talking about how if you go to a law firm, they have all of these things that they do. We do this, we do this, we do this, we do family stuff, legal stuff, like all kinds of stuff that they do, right? So you go there, and then you're like, well, what should I pick for you for, right? And then I was talking to this lawyer. He was asking me for some business advice. He's a friend. And then I told him, well, man, what do you like? Like all of these topics that normally lawyers do, what is the one that's your favorite? I told him, right? I asked him, and then he told me one. And then I told him, well, focus on that one. Eliminate all
Yeah.
of the other fucking things from your fucking website, from your office and everything, and just focus on being the best divorce lawyer in the world,
Yeah.
right? And it caused so much anxiety, man. You should have looked at his face. It caused anxiety for him to think that he was going to leave everything else and just focus on divorce cases,
Yeah.
right? And then I told him, man, like right now in this second, there's literally a million divorce, people thinking about divorcing their
Yeah.
wives, or wives thinking about divorcing
All
their
day, every
husbands.
day.
Yeah, all day, every day. So there's literally a million minimum people who are thinking of pulling the trigger and are looking for help. Like right now,
Yeah.
there's literally a million. There's no scarcity of that.
No.
Um, and in addition to that, that's going to make your service better, right? Because you're going
Yeah.
to focus on doing the same thing again and again and again. You'll be able to systematize it, put people in place that can replace you, and scale, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then it works the same with any other business, man. But you should
Anything.
have looked at his face. It caused anxiety. It caused
Yeah.
like he couldn't believe it. He was like, and he still hasn't taken the decision to do it because he's afraid. But he's afraid, man. That is just the scarcity mentality of thinking that there's not enough, right? Like, why do 100 things when you can focus on one? And even if you focus on one, you there's the market is literally infinite. So then my question to you, man, is you're niche down on so you have a book, right, called Yacht Captain Secrets. um so where you teach people like how to invest, well, how to invest in real estate while like going on their yacht and stuff like
What
that.
was not
And
yeah.
then your marketing message basically is yachty real estate investors, right? You help
Yeah.
professionals live their yachty lifestyle by passively invest in multifamily apartments. That's a really specific niche, right? So
Yes.
what got you to niche down into, well, I know what got you into niche down. You're like you work on boats and yachts and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? But what led you to that? Like who gave you that advice? And then
Well,
was there any resistance?
uh, no, there wasn't resistance. I like yourself was trying to do, make it all encompassing, and then I was just focusing on, people on yachts, but a lot of the people on yachts are, a lot of them may not be accredited. A lot of them don't understand. So there's a knowledge aspect that needs to be expanded on, where they need to learn more. And that's why, the book and everything. And then also there's a lot of people that are foreign nationals that may or may not be able to invest in the United States, but there are avenues for that as well. And there's a smaller amount of yacht crew in the world. There's maybe 50 to 100,000 at any time. And if you when you start segmenting it apart in that way, there's a much a smaller market. So eventually, we're thinking about it with a friend of mine. He was helping me do my marketing and my website and stuff, and he kind of came up with the phrase because I wanted to include all professionals because in my as the meetup group grew and all the virtual networking, I started meeting a lot of people all over, and I said I don't want to limit it just to people on yachts because that's kind of a very small group. But I want people to be able to live like they are on the yacht. You know what I mean? I want people to have that financial freedom that uh, it provides if they do want to go on a yacht. You know, and go and travel places, be financially free. So I thought that was a great thing to where it would be all encompassing because it would include a lot more professionals that maybe want to live that financially free life that can afford them, the freedom of chartering a yacht or buying a yacht.
Mm, nice. So you expanded from like a specific type of person to a mindset, right? Like a belief.
Yeah, yeah,
I like
mindset of
that.
somebody that's willing to do that, that's willing to invest their time, money, and effort into investing into real estate and those type of things to keep it, you know, to keep it all going, to make those things happen to where they have that type of freedom.
Scott, so your events, were they like first starting, were they just for yacht people?
No, it was yachts and real estate professionals.
Okay.
'Cause at first it was connecting yacht and real estate professionals. I put a lot of people together, and it grew into that because it I started meeting a lot of people in real estate of all facets, all walks of life, and all of them were doing some amazing things. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was able to connect. You know,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not something that I'm doing, I would gladly connect people that, I have a lot of friends that do Airbnbs. I don't really do any of it, but anytime anybody asks me about it, I connect them with, hey, ask these guys. They have a company and a consulting business. That's all they do, and glad to help because there's a lot of people on yachts that they like doing Airbnb and stuff like that. And so it's just something that I want to provide for people that they know these things are out there because I didn't know it was out there, and I don't want them to miss out on those opportunities. And
Yeah.
I come from a big family, and we, you know, the way I was raised, we always try to help each other. So, it's something that, I think that's just how I am. That I want to make sure that people have those avenues because it's out there, and anything you can think of is out there. There's a lot of capital out there. There's a lot of opportunity. There's, there's no scarcity of anything in this world. It's
Mm-hmm.
all there.
Yeah. It's crazy to think though about how many people don't know about these amazing investing opportunities, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you mentioned right now your book, right? So it's to close down the knowledge gap because a
Yes.
lot of people are skeptical about this, are skeptical about all of the tax benefits, the returns, the way that you can the fact that you can make a passive cash flow and then double your money in a certain amount of time when you exit a deal and all of that. People are skeptical about these types of investments, and it's just because of a belief, right? It's just
Yeah.
like they don't believe that this is real just because they've never been exposed to it.
Yeah.
um and that's why it's so important for you to be putting content out there, like your book, like this podcast, educating people, right? So educating people to help them close the gap, so by the time you are actually going to offer them a deal, then that has been done, and the progress it goes a lot smoother.
Yes.
But it's incredible how many people don't know about this, right, Scott?
Yes. It's more and more I meet every day, and I'm just glad that now there's a lot of social media, and there's a lot of good things and good people out there that are actually sharing a lot of this knowledge that I can help out too. And it's nice that I myself, I'm learning more and more every day. I didn't know a lot of these things were possible until I met a lot of these people. And I, let alone 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, my life would have been completely different if I didn't see other people doing these things or didn't learn about these things. You know, I would probably
Yeah.
be doing the same thing, and that would be, for me, that would be brutal. The
Mm-hmm.
same position, and not have grown over the last
Mm-hmm.
5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's uh, it would be very difficult to be
Scott,
stagnant.
let's get started with the real estate investing optical deep dive section of this podcast. It's a small section that I've added to every single episode where we discuss common obstacles that real estate investors face, like deal finding, deal analyzing, deal underwriting, team building, capital raising, and all of that. And the purpose of this is to dive deep and talk about these common obstacles to provide, the listeners with the tools and everything they'll need to be able to navigate those obstacles a lot better. So today I want to focus on talking about capital raising, since that's what you're focused on, and you might be able to provide some feedback on that. So Scott, in your opinion, man, in your experience as a real estate investor, how important is capital raising? Is raising capital?
I'd say it's probably one of the most important things because I always thought, because people say it all over and over again, that if you find a good deal, um, the money will come, and everyone will invest with you. Not necessarily, because
Mm-hmm.
I had that happen. What I thought was a great deal, but the money didn't come. It didn't come together. I and plus, because I was fairly junior in what I was trying to do, so I would say, if I had the money, I would have been able to execute on that. Or if I knew someone that had the money, or knew somebody that would um, put in the money, or a few people, a few partners, then it would have happened. I would have been able to make it happen. Um, it's a common occurrence that all deals are not for all people. So I
Mm-hmm.
might think it's great, and you yourself might say, well, that's I only do Class A properties. I don't do anything that's older than 2000. Those kind of things. And that's like you're saying, a lot of people have niched down into, this is what my focus is. I only do large value adds. Those type of things. So
Yeah. So totally, man. As a multifamily real estate investor, raising capital is super important, right? Like having the capital is actually what will make or break the deal a lot of the time. Well, not a lot of the times, every time, right?
every time.
So look, I want to dive a little bit deeper into your personal experience raising capital, and I want to talk about the problems or obstacles that you faced and all of the things that you went through mentally and emotionally. Um, and the people that listen to this podcast are people who invest in real estate passively, right? Some of them invest actively, some don't know yet. However, every single person that listens to this podcast are people who have chosen to use real estate as their wealth creation vehicle, right? So we have real estate people listening. So I remember listening to podcast, Scott, where the guests would share inspiring stories, right? Like stories of success stories, and that would inspire me. And then, however, what made the biggest impact on me was when guests would share their failures, right? Because
Hmm.
that would make me feel that would make me identify myself with them, and it would make me think that I was not alone, right? So for that reason, I want to just encourage you to like share your personal experience in the most honest and vulnerable and maybe open way as possible, because the purpose for this podcast um, is to contribute to people's journeys of growth and becoming the best that they can be, and the best way that you can help me honor that purpose, Scott, is just by sharing openly. That way we can motivate, inspire, and bless people with the tool sets, the mindsets, the skill sets, and everything they need to succeed. All right. So my question is, when first starting as a real estate investor, man, was capital raising something you worked on tackling right away, or did it come up later in your journey? Was it something maybe that you were running away from?
No, initially when I started in real estate investing, I was just kind of doing it on my own or with a couple of other partners, and we didn't really need to raise the money because we had enough for those particular deals. But as the deals got bigger, or I got into bigger stuff, I saw that's what the need is, and that
Mm-hmm.
you know the biggest thing I've struggled with for the most part is um, finding the right deal for the right person. Because like as I keep coming back to, is all deals are not for all people. And if I think it's a great deal, it may not necessarily be for someone, or someone might say, well, I'm not doing that right now. I just I'm interested to talk about it, but I don't, I only want to invest right now. I have these 12 single family homes I'm buying right now. That's what I want to do. I don't have any interest in a 100-unit apartment building. Or I'm only doing class A builds. I don't invest in anything that's that old, or and that's where I struggle to find, because those tastes and those investment strategies, those change over time. My personal strategy has changed over time as well, because we're all at different segments in our life. So even if you focus on a specific demographic, it may not necessarily be for someone if someone's you know it doesn't fit them, and it just doesn't fit their risk profile. So that's been my major struggle. But because I don't feel that I should have to sell them on the investment. That's I'll leave
Mm-hmm.
that for other people. I have to be very critical with myself and make sure that this is the right thing for them, because at the end of the day, if I put my money in, um and I lose my money, that's fine. I know the risk. I've done the stuff, but these people are depending on me to help them make the right decision, you know, and make them realize that there are risks, and that we have a, a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that they know that we're going to do what it takes to make sure that they get their returns, they get taken care of, and it gets them to where they're wanting to be, what their goals are, and I think that gets lost sometimes. And you always hear the positive stuff that people put out on social media, that, oh, we closed this and we got these returns, but you don't hear like the struggles. Like, I've always thought a great idea would be like, 3 months after, they have a follow up, or 6 months or a year, and say, hey, we had to fire two property managers. We had part of the building burned down. We needed to pivot and do this. We had a bunch of evictions, and those things. Um, but that has been my struggle, has been making connecting the dots between the person and their investment. Because I'm a very personable person, and I take it very seriously what we're doing, because I've had to send people back their money because the deals didn't go through, and that still bothers me to this day,
Yeah.
because it didn't make it all the way to where what I was telling them it was going to. And I know that happens, but I have to make sure that I'm going to fulfill my end of the bargain.
So the biggest problem, let's see if I, just to put it in my own words to see if I understand it, has been, for example, having a class A multifamily apartment building, 50 units, right? In a certain area, and then you go to an investor, but then you realize that they don't invest in Class A multifamily
Yeah.
apartment buildings that are 50 units. They only invest in Class C that are in another certain area that are
Right.
10 units or less. That
Yeah.
type of thing. That's the type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's that thing.
Do you have like
And
a
that takes
specific
time.
example or a story to illustrate that point?
Um, yes, I had a particular investor, and like this a particular property in Charlotte, North Carolina, that I'm raising on for right now. And I I got a lot of feedback from them. Oh yeah, I'm interested to talk more and more and more. And then I went through the whole presentation with them and talked to them quite a few times, and then they said, "Well, I don't really invest in these type of things. I only do Class A 2000 and above because they give less problems. The returns are less, but I wanted, I'm kind of interested, but they weren't really. They just kind of wanted to compare what they were doing with what like a kind of a light value add project. So I should have picked up on that a little sooner and just, but I always keep following up with the people anyway. But that was a struggle. So I could have probably spoke to them less and focused my time more on focusing on the exact people that are going to invest in this, or focus on educating him more on what we're actually doing. Uh, that was my take on what I needed to get done.
Mm, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing, man. Any other, so apart from so that's another big thing, right? Like spending time on people who are not going to like convert because
Yes,
they don't really invest in that type of things. Um, how did that make you feel? Like, because the emotions are like a big part of a real estate investor journey, and being able to
it,
manage them and change your perspective is super important. So, did that make you feel like like frustration or anything like that? And if so, if not, well, how do you do that? And then if so, how do you manage it, man?
it is a little bit frustrating, but for every, you just have to keep thinking in your head that well, for every someone that doesn't, that's that much closer to one that does.
Mm,
Because you're going to
nice.
have to go through a certain amount until that's, say you get 10 no's, that's one no closer to a yes. Because you have to get through a bunch of no's. I mean, in the rejection, I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. It's not fun, but each time I try to learn something from, to where hopefully it makes me better. Especially like I learned from some people. Everyone has a different way of looking at it. Like some people like the cash on cash return. Some people only look at the equity multiple. Some people, it just depends on where they are in their life, and it helps me more the more I do, being able to um, figure out what that person's specific needs are. And then you can read that a lot better. And that way, if you do find something, hey, I got something here for you specifically, and they'll go, oh yeah, okay. And I always take critical notes, not only of the investor, but also of myself. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I kind of slipped up on this. I messed up talking about the actual deal. I could have put it in a better light by saying this. Because I think those things are important. You have to be able to give yourself constructive criticism.
for sure.
And you have to take the criticism from the investor of saying, you know, what their negatives were, what their seven, their input is, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to be with you or be without you.
So it's also important to be constantly reflecting and looking at yourself in the mirror to think as to how your performance went, and what you did
Yes.
right, what you did wrong, things that you did good, things that you didn't do as good, things that you can improve. So I really like that as well. So Thank you for sharing, Scott. And we do have a couple of minutes, and I do like to end my interviews with a couple of questions. And the
Okay.
first one is, what is a limiting belief right now? Now that you're part of Mastermind, and you run meetup like events and stuff like that. What is a limiting belief that you see a lot of real estate investors have that holds them back from really tapping into their potential?
I see a lot sometimes where people say, how am I going to get the money for this? And a lot of times what I do is I say, who am I going to find?
Nice.
Instead of who am I going to find? Who do I need to find? And there's a book, find the who, not the how. It's a great
Yeah.
book. A friend of mine told me about it, and it has made a big influence on my life, because I have to keep reflecting back. Like I have a tendency to jump in and say, "Oh, I need to figure this out," and then I have to catch myself and said, "No, I don't. I don't need to figure out how to do this. I need to find who can do this."
Yeah, there's already someone out there who has
Who
figured that
might
out and who has done it 10 times, right?
1,000 times better than I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome. I really like that. I actually love that book, man. Who Not
yeah,
How? Great book.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that inspired me to actually, start hiring and build my
Yeah,
HR department system.
yeah.
After reading the Who Not How book, I read another book called Rocket Fuel. Have you read it?
Oh,
Have you
that's
read
a
that?
good one. And
Yeah.
traction is another good one too.
Exactly. I was about to mention that one.
Yeah.
And then from those three books, I was like, I read like those three books, and then like a year and a half ago, and I haven't read another book since. Because I've been working on applying them and just applying the principles that I learned there, and I
Hmm.
already did, and I built an amazing HR department, man. An HR
Nice.
department system. I've actually gotten asked by a bunch of people, if I can help them with that. We're not an HR company, but that, like, I may be going that route just because how good I was able to apply the things that I learned in those books.
Excellent.
But yeah, incredible books. Who Not How is a life changing, like,
Hey,
ideology mindset to have.
yeah.
Right,
I have
definitely
to
recommend it.
refer. I have to refer back to it all the time. Where I have to catch myself a lot of times when, and it's very helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And it's every entrepreneur has this, right? Like they're facing a problem or an obstacle, and then the instant thought process is, how can I do this? How can I solve this?
Yeah.
When the most effective and efficient way to solve it is thinking, who?
Who can do this? Who can do
Right?
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's life changing, man. So the
Yeah.
next question is, on the other hand, on the other side, what is an empowering belief that you should have to be a successful real estate investor in your experience?
An empowering belief is that, is taking over the abundance mindset. That's that was the most important thing that happened to me, because I went from, uh, a place of scarcity where, like, oh, I don't know if there's going to be enough people to do this, to when you really look at it and you see all these people doing all these things, there's more than enough of everything for everyone all the time.
Yeah. I just heard a story from Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you've seen him across social media.
Yeah, I
Um,
love great.
he's great, man. He shared a story of how he was a fitness trainer, right? And he started to
Yeah,
sell weight loss programs. And then he had a friend who was like really successful, making like $200,000 per month doing that.
yeah,
And then his friend told him, if you do weight loss, we can't be friends anymore. Right? Like, just because of the scarcity mindset, man.
yeah, yeah.
Right? There's so
Competition.
much fear around thinking that, like, someone else is gonna come and take your opportunities, when there are a
Yeah,
lot of opportunities for everyone. Even if everyone was a weight loss trainer, there still would be people that you could train to lose
yeah.
weight. So
Or people telling you, oh, you can't do that. Because mainly because they don't think they can do it. But,
exactly.
and or they don't know anybody that does that. It's like, well,
Yeah.
everything I've done in my life, I didn't know anybody that was doing any of it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know
So,
anybody that worked on a boat. I didn't know anybody that worked in IT. I mean, we did have a trucking business when I was a kid, and I learned a lot from my parents, just about business and just, work ethic and those kind of things. But if you see somebody doing it, it's an easy step for you to do it yourself.
mm, yeah. So the last question, Scott. Actually, I don't want to breeze to over what you just said. If there's someone already doing it, ask for help, right? So yeah,
Yes.
they're gonna be an easy step for you to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. So
Yes.
again, who not how, right?
Yeah.
So the last question, Scott, is we talked about networking a lot during this interview and how networking is basically the source from everything, almost everything that you've been able to build and accomplish and all of that. So do you have any networking advice or strategies or tactics that you can use to build a network and build relationships?
Um, I would say, like, whenever you're in, if you don't, um, if there's not a group in your area, go and create one.
Nice.
And it might be tough for a while, because I mean, sometimes at my networking events, because now I'm doing Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Stewart, and the guys I collaborate with, they do uh, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Aspen, Colorado, Phoenix, Arizona. So if I didn't start the group, I wouldn't be a part of these groups. It was tough at first. Sometimes they'd only be two or three people, but actually it's pretty nice, because I got to talk to these people, and a lot of these people are now good friends of mine. And it was a more intimate thing. So, you know, don't think don't think it'll happen overnight, but if you there's that build it, and they will come. If you just put it out there, there's going to be somebody that's interested in what you're doing.
Hmm. Great. Great advice.
As
Thank
long
you.
as you
So,
are as long as you are a genuine person, and you're trying to do what you're trying to do, and you do what you say, then you won't have a problem.
mhm. Scott, for anybody out there that may want to connect with you, maybe they want to attend, maybe they're in the like the Fort Lauderdale area, um, maybe they're into yachts, right?
Yeah.
Or they just thought that you were a cool guy, that they want to connect with you, ask you a bit more about your book or whatever you got going on, some of the deals that you may have going on. We would be the best place for them to find you and
Um,
connect with you, Scott.
you can get me on LinkedIn, just my name, Scott Kidd, or Yachty Real Estate Investors on social media. And if you're interested in investing, invest with scottkidd.com.
Awesome. All right, so we'll make sure that to add all of those links wherever this podcast appears, Scott. It was a pleasure talking to you and
Thank
getting to
you.
meet you, man. Thank you very much.
Same,
Okay, and
same here. I really appreciate you. You're doing a lot of great things.
thank you, man. I'll see you later.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Modern Real Estate Investor Podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate you, and we are super grateful about being part of your journey of becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur and having it all. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will be impacted positively. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be across all areas. And if you thought this episode was really valuable, share it on your social media as a post or a story. We have a special gift for all of those who contribute to the Modern Kings and Queens movement. So for those of you who decided to share this episode and help us spread our message, send me a message letting me know on any social media platform at Alex Ramirez, the Modern King. I have a special surprise for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.